that the platform that you have and the work that you're doing, people see the value, people see the relevance, and people see the importance. Which brings me to what is going on right now. And there might be some people who don't know, but there's actually a legislative session going on. No, seriously, there might be some people that don't know, which is why we're having these conversations. So we know one of the hot topics of the current legislative session are some of these bills regarding voting access. Walk through with our viewers who might not know, walk through with our viewers the process of where it started. This is where it started. This is where we are. And these are things that need to be done, or there might be some drastic changes going on.
So this started with Trump saying that the election was stolen from him, and he created all this doubt in some voters. The voters whose candidate did not win had to find a reason why that happened. So they listened to all of the craziness that he was spewing, even though the governor and the Secretary of State, who are both hardcore Republicans, said that the vote was valid. It was counted and recounted and audited, and that our election was in Georgia, one of elections in the country. So out of that, so keep in mind, the disconnect here is we as Georgians voted for a president. We voted for a Democratic president. We sent 2 Democratic senators to the Senate. But at the Capitol, it's the governor, the Senate, and the House are all controlled by Republicans. And we can have a longer conversation at another time about why that is. It has to do with gerrymandering, and it could possibly happen again because we have to redraw our voting maps this year because the census just came out. So we are in the minority at the Capitol. So basically, Republicans run roughshod. They have, they say privately, I know that our voting system is safe, but my base wants me to do something. And that's why we're seeing all of these voter suppression bills, because that's what they are. They're there to suppress the vote. And there are Republicans that have said out loud, if Democrats continue to vote the way they do, we'll never win again. In Gwinnett County, the chair of our Board of Elections said out loud, and this is the chair of the Board of Elections in Gwinnett County, if something doesn't change, we will never win, talking about being a Republican. So these changes are not because we have a broken system. These changes are because that's the way they're going to keep power. That's the only way they can keep power. And ever since Stacey Abrams did a phenomenal job turning out the vote. And she's done it since she ran in 2018. Now she has an amazing machine in fair fight. She has turned out the vote. We have talked about voting more since Stacey Abrams has been running for in elections than we ever have in history. And that has to continue, because the bottom line is, the truth is, these suppressive bills are going to pass because we don't have the numbers to stop it. They will pass. You can protest, you can call, and I can tell you, none of that is going to change their minds, because we're talking about money and power. So protesters don't change the minds of people who feel like they're losing their power. And if they're losing their power, they're, by extension, losing control over their finances. So this is going to happen. But the good news is it's likely not going to pass in the court system. It's likely going to be deemed unconstitutional. And at the federal level, there's the John Lewis Voting Act that he started before he died. And if that's passed, that can help us in Georgia to defeat some of these bills. But the bottom line is I fully expect them to pass.
And I'm glad you mentioned at the very end regarding the John Lewis Act. There's actually, I think that, and there's one other act that's on the table where hopefully, for lack of a better term, if these two clear, and I want to say maybe the Lewis Act cleared over the weekend, I'm not quite sure, but if these both clear, then that national mandate is going to take priority over the state. So like you said, even with the possibility of these measures going through, the countermeasures are that they'll be out of compliance either with the judicial system or with what's going on nationally. And if that's the case, then you've got hopefully the way that we've seen early voting and things along those lines, they'll continue to happen.